This is the Uncensored Voice. No bullshit, just real shit.
Discussing things that will stir the pot. Only here on the Uncensored Voice.
With your host, Ricky Midnight.
Sure money's not wasted like that $55 million. When you work for a municipality, you swear to uphold the laws of the state of Texas, right? And it's the same thing that you do when you work for a school district. You swear to uphold the laws in the state of Texas and the Constitution of the state of Texas, right? But when you work for a school, it is hush hush, and the police chief or the deputy chief or the sergeants, whatever it might be, kind of give you the nudge, like, hey, wink, wink, we ignore some things that would be against the law because we're a little more softer around the edges towards the students because we want their mommies and daddies' tuition money. So things are a little bit softer there. The laws are all the same. They all apply, but they want you to kind of turn your head and look the other way. Now, officially, they're not going to say, yes, that's what they do, because, of course, that would make they would lose their license, right, to be a police department. So, but they take you aside and they tell you, hey, look, we do things differently here. This is a community police department. Do you understand what I'm saying? And of course, you're like, yes, I do, right? So I actually started with another officer there on the same day, and they had this speech to him and I, and I continued to work there because, and trust me, I enforced every fucking law, right? But I continued to work there, and he threw down his keys. He said, "No, I'm not going to work here. I mean, this is not for me." Because of that, and a couple of other things, but because of that, and it's like, no, the law is the law, As a police officer, you're empowered in the state of Texas to not enforce X amount of laws. The only ones you have to enforce is a violation of a restraining order in your presence, and one other one that doesn't come to mind right now. Those are the only things that you shall enforce, right? Let's say, for example, I pull over a vehicle and there's a wife and a husband inside, right? And the husband, is driving and he's impaired. I don't have to give him a ticket. I don't have to tow the vehicle. If I give a field sobriety test to the wife and she does not seem to be impaired in any way or is not showing signs of being impaired when I give her the test, I can allow her to drive him home. So you don't have to make an arrest. You don't have to go that far. So the state of Texas empowers you to do certain things, and you don't have to do a lot of stuff. You can, but you don't have to. So it's that police officer's choice at that particular time. But when you work for a school district, they kind of give you the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're kind of here to walk around in uniform, and that's pretty much it. No, that's not going to be it. I had an incident where I had to shoot a person in self-defense. It was cleared by the Texas Rangers as a no bill, which means they don't suggest that you press charges against me. My department says no policy violation. And at the time, the DA said, we're not going to pursue charges at this time because we don't see any misconduct at all. Ultimately, I got an honorable discharge. I worked there for an additional 4 years after I shot this person because my police chief and I didn't see eye to eye. He wanted me to bend over and kiss his ass, and I chose not to. So he said, okay, you're going to be on permanent desk duty for, the next 4 years or until I retire. And the day he was replaced by a black man. Coincidentally, I shot a black man in self-defense, okay? So the day that a black chief was hired at the police department, I lost my job. So you infer from that whatever you want to infer. But either way you look at it, unless you have worked, doesn't matter how many years experience you have as a police officer, unless you have actually worked as a campus police officer, you do not know what they tell campus police officers to do and not to do. Just because they tell you to do something, and they will tell you to stand around and do nothing, until there's an overwhelming amount of force behind you, meaning a bunch of other officers, so you can go in there and do something because, they're afraid of liability, right? So they want they want a massive show of force before they go in there. Under Texas law, you, as a single officer, are required, not asked politely to, you are required to mitigate the damages. You're required to get your ass in there and do something, right? Now, if you deem, as that single police officer, if you deem it not tactically to go in there and do something, well, then obviously you're going to use your own judgment on it, and they allow you to use your own judgment. But from what we know, there was only one shooter, and so it's basically 1 against 1, and you have tactical training, they don't. So I would have gone in there. Now, I can't say that they should have gone in there because it's possible that the officers did not know there was only one shooter in there. They may have thought there was multiple shooters in there. So all these people who are giving opinions, and even other police officers who are giving opinions who were never a campus police officer, your opinions are, blowing in the wind like the leaves. They really don't mean anything unless you were an actual campus police officer and you understand the things that they have told other campus police officers. When you work for a municipality, it's a different animal. And that's actually the words that they'll tell you when you go to become a campus police officer. It is a completely different animal being a police officer here than it is being a municipal police officer. Now, don't get me wrong. Much respect for municipal police officers. They work their ass off. They put their lives on the line far more than a campus police officer does. But in some respects, that's actually good because you have much more tactical experience than a campus police officer does. But don't get me wrong. A campus police officer giving their opinion as to what another campus police officer does, you may be right, you may not be right, but you carry more weight than a municipal police officer does when they give their opinion as to what a campus police officer does. Because if you were never a campus police officer, how the heck would you know what they do or what they're being told? You don't know, but I do. This guy does. This guy knows what they're being told because that's what I used to do. So this is Ricky Midnight saying God bless America and God bless Texas.
Thanks for listening to The Uncensored Voice.
Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, on The Uncensored Voice, we tell it like it is.
So be safe, my friends, and may God bless America.